love freedom. And I like being crazy. I love having fun. Mariah's preoccupied with listening to music and doing her makeup. Yeah.
It's not so much rebellion. It's more, if you say I can't, I will do it just to prove that I can.
Season 7 of Welcome to Plathville has exploded onto our screens like nothing we've seen before. The quiet, conservative family that once seemed so tightly bound by rules, faith, and control has now been ripped wide open, and every single member is facing life-altering changes. Divorce battles are dragging through the courts, custody fights are pulling children into the middle, violent arguments have left lasting scars. Health struggles are being laid bare, shocking romances are coming to light, and even whispers of secret pregnancies are shaking the family's already fragile foundation. What we're watching now is no longer just the story of a large religious family in rural Georgia. This is the unraveling of old traditions and the messy, raw reality of what happens when control gives way to chaos. For longtime viewers, it's almost hard to believe how far the Plaths have come from that first season, when Kim and Barry stood together at the head of their family, enforcing strict rules on music, clothing, and outside influence. That old image has completely shattered. Kim is building a new life on her own terms. Barry is clinging to stability while trying to redefine himself. Ethan is finally smiling after heartbreak. Mariah is fighting for self-acceptance through her health struggles. Micah is caught in one of the most shocking fights the family has ever seen. Lydia is rushing headfirst into marriage while wrestling with grief. Olivia is reclaiming her story and pushing back against the cameras. And Isaac is being dragged into the spotlight with new scandals he can't escape. Hi friends, my name is Sarah, and welcome back to Sister Wives Daily. If you love truth-telling commentary that gets to the heart of family reality TV, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because we have so much to uncover this season. And I really want to know what you think. Dude, you believe this is the most dramatic season the Plaths have ever had? Drop your thoughts down below, because I read every single comment. When you think back to the first seasons of Welcome to Plathville, it's almost impossible not to picture Kim and Barry standing side by side, united in their strict rules and shared vision of family life. They built their identity on control. No sugar, no TV, no social media, no dating without approval. For years, they were the authority in their children's lives. But as the kids began to grow, to question, and to push back, we watched cracks form between Kim and Barry that only widened with time. By the time their separation became official, it felt like the final nail in the coffin of that carefully crafted Plath image. On the show, we saw the tension play out in real time. Barry, often calm and soft-spoken, admitted his pain as Kim pulled further and further away. Kim, on the other hand, opened up about feeling trapped, about needing to live life for herself after decades of motherhood inside such rigid walls. Their split wasn't just a private decision. It was filmed, dissected, and broadcast to fans who had watched this couple present themselves as the head of a perfect, God-centered family. And that's what makes their unraveling so striking. It's not just a divorce. It's the dismantling of an entire way of life. This season, Kim takes one of the boldest steps we've ever seen from her. Instead of clinging to the old ways or retreating quietly into the background, she makes a dramatic move with her younger daughters, Amber, Cassia, and Mercy. Cameras follow them as Kim uproots their lives and moves onto a houseboat, trading the traditional family home for something completely unconventional. For Kim, this isn't just a new address, it's a statement. It's her saying, I'm not going back, I'm not living the way I used to, I'm choosing a life that feels like mine. Viewers watched her explain how she grew up around boats, how the water brought her a sense of calm. There's something almost symbolic about her choosing a houseboat. It rocks, it sways, it demands adjustment, just like her new life. But for her daughters, this is more than an adventure. It's their childhood, reshaped in the middle of their parents' unresolved divorce. Every corner of the boat is being reworked into a bedroom, a study nook, or a craft corner. Kim is doing everything she can to prove she can handle it on her own, that she is the primary caregiver, the steady hand guiding her girls into the next chapter. And yet, behind the brave face, there's no escaping the reality of the custody battle. Kim and Barry are not just negotiating their divorce, They are locked in a legal fight over their children. Kim is demanding primary custody, asking the court for financial support, and positioning herself as the one who should be recognized as the main parent. Barry, however, isn't stepping aside. He's filed his own response, seeking shared custody and financial backing as well. What we're left with is a family split down the middle, not just emotionally, but legally. And the show doesn't shy away from the tension. The cameras capture the distance between Kim and Barry, the way their children now exist between two worlds, and the weight that battle puts on everyone involved. Barry's response to the split is almost the opposite of Kim's. While she's out making dramatic choices, breaking away from the life she once had, Barry stays quiet, almost stoic. He doesn't throw himself into a whirlwind of change. Instead, he leans into the basics: his health, his role as a father, his place in the family. We see him in the gym, working out with Micah, rebuilding not just his body, but his bond with his son. We hear him speak softly about wanting peace, about putting the kids first, even as the custody battle looms over him. Barry isn't flashy, and he doesn't chase the spotlight. His entire presence this season is about trying to hold on to what little stability he has left. And that's where the contrast between Kim and Barry becomes so sharp. Kim is carving out independence, even if it means starting over in the most unconventional way. Barry is holding fast to tradition, quietly but firmly standing his ground. Kim is chasing freedom on the water, while Barry is rooted in the land he's always known. Both are reshaping their lives, but they're moving in opposite directions, and the children are the ones caught in the middle. The emotional weight of this storyline hits because it's not just about a marriage ending. It's about the family's foundation crumbling in full view of the world. For fans who've followed the Plaths since the beginning, it feels like watching history repeat itself. Parents who built their identity on control now losing control completely. The divorce battle, the houseboat life, the fitness routines, the silence, the distance, it all adds up to the reality that the Plath family we once knew is gone. And Season 7 is about watching what rises from the pieces. When we first met Ethan Plath, he was the golden boy of Kim and Barry's strict household. The oldest son, obedient, polite, and caught between two worlds. He grew up sheltered from modern culture, without TV or mainstream music, living under the shadow of his parents' rigid rules. And then came Olivia. For so many viewers, their marriage felt like the beginning of Ethan's great escape. Olivia brought him into the wider world, introduced him to freedom, and gave him a way to push back against the control he had always known. But as the seasons unfolded, what looked like a love story quickly turned into one of the most painful and public unravelings on the show. The divorce between Ethan and Olivia was not sudden. It was years of fights, miscommunications, and clashing values that slowly played out in front of the cameras. Olivia, strong puppy, illed and determined, wanted distance from the Plath parents. She openly clashed with Kim and Barry, and at times with Micah and Mariah too, insisting that the old Plath rules were toxic. Ethan, on the other hand, was torn. He loved Olivia, but his loyalty to his family, especially to his siblings, never disappeared. That tug of war left him constantly stuck in the middle. We watched him sit in silence during arguments. We saw him storm out when the tension became too much, and we felt the weight he carried when the marriage could no longer be saved. By the time their divorce became reality, Ethan looked exhausted. Fans noticed it. His eyes, his voice, even the way he carried himself showed just how much the marriage had drained him. For someone who was once presented as carefree and playful, it was heartbreaking to see him lose that spark. Olivia moved forward with her own narrative, sharing her truth about what she endured, but Ethan's pain lingered quietly on the screen. He wasn't the type to spill his heart openly. His struggle was written between the lines, in his body language, in his long silences, in the way his once bright smile seemed to fade. And then came Season 7. Suddenly, we see a different Ethan. For the first time in years, fans are watching him step out of the shadow of his heartbreak. The cameras catch him laughing again, smiling in a way that feels genuine, and the reason is clear. Ethan is no longer alone. He's found new love, and it shows in every frame. After years of heavy conversations and emotional breakdowns, there's a lightness about him again. Whether he's out on a date, sharing a playful look, or simply talking about life with his new partner, There's a visible shift. It's like the Ethan we knew in the very beginning, the one who was curious, hopeful, and ready to build a life of his own, is finally re-emerging. The reaction from fans has been powerful. Viewers who once pitied him during the darkest moments of his marriage now cheer him on as he rediscovers joy. Social media buzzed with excitement, not just because Ethan was dating a gain, but because he looked happy. For so long, audiences debated whether he would ever truly recover from his painful split with Olivia. Seeing him smiling, joking, and simply enjoying life has been one of the most uplifting surprises of the new season. Of course, moving on after heartbreak isn't easy, and the show doesn't shy away from that. Ethan himself admits how difficult it was to let go of a relationship that defined so much of his adult life. Divorce isn't just a legal ending. It's emotional, it's spiritual, it's financial, and it leaves scars. Ethan has had to rebuild piece by piece, not only his identity but also his vision for the future. The weight of that process is clear, even as he steps into something new. There's vulnerability in the way he talks about the past, and caution in the way he embraces the present. What makes this storyline so emotional is the contrast. We remember the Ethan of earlier seasons, the boy sitting in the middle of screaming matches, struggling to reconcile his wife and his family, often shutting down because he couldn't handle the conflict. That Ethan was closed off, guarded, and weary. The Ethan of season 7, though, he's different. He's not naive, but he's lighter. He's carrying scars, yes, but he's also carrying hope. His laughter feels freer, his presence feels stronger, and his willingness to be open to love again is a testament to his resilience. At the heart of it, Ethan's story this season isn't just about moving on. It's about healing. It's about rediscovering himself outside of the roles that once defined him. Obedient son, controlled husband, family mediator. It's about finally finding the space to breathe, to grow, and to choose happiness on his own terms. And for viewers who have watched his painful journey play out for years, there's something deeply satisfying in seeing Ethan finally step into the light again. Ethan's story in season 7 feels like a rebirth. Then Micah's journey is a cautionary tale of how quickly everything can unravel when family tension explodes. For years, Micah has been known as the Plath sibling who broke away and reinvented himself, moving to Los Angeles, becoming a model, showing off a glamorous lifestyle that stood in sharp contrast to the strict, sheltered world he grew up in. He seemed untouchable, the sibling who had escaped not only the family rules, but also the chaos that consumed so many of the others. But as we all saw during season 7, that illusion shattered in one shocking moment. The cameras captured what no one could have imagined, a violent physical fight between Micah and his younger brother Isaac at Lydia's wedding. A day that should have been filled with joy, love, and family unity instead became the scene of one of the ugliest Plath family confrontations yet. Tension had been brewing for a long time. Isaac stepping into adulthood, asserting his independence, clashing with Micah's more laid-back, sometimes reckless energy. The wedding became the breaking point. Words turned into shoves, and shoves turned into blows. The chaos of bridesmaids, guests, and cameras witnessing the brothers' feud left fans in disbelief. The fallout was immediate and devastating. Micah walked away from that fight not just with a fractured relationship, but with a physical injury that would derail his career. Modeling, the profession he had worked so hard to establish, suddenly had to be put on hold. A profession that depends on image, presence, and momentum doesn't wait for anyone. And for Micah, the timing could not have been worse. As fans watched him wrestle with the consequences, it became painfully clear that the fight wasn't just about Isaac. It was about Micah himself, about whether he could balance his family's dysfunction with his own dreams, and whether his loyalty to the Plath name was costing him the very independence he fought to create. And then there was Veronica. Micah's breakup with her added another layer to the unraveling. On screen, their relationship had been presented as a glimpse into Micah's stability, his attempt at building something serious while still managing his rising career. But the split revealed cracks not just in their romance, but in Micah's ability to sustain the balance between personal life and family drama. Fans speculated about whether the constant pressure of being a Plath, with cameras documenting every misstep, played a role in their breakup. For Micah, losing Veronica wasn't just about losing a girlfriend, it was about losing yet another anchor, another piece of the foundation he thought he had built outside of Cairo, Georgia. What's most striking this season is watching Micah struggle to define his loyalty. On one hand, he loves his family. He has always been protective of his siblings, willing to stand up against anyone who criticized them. On the other hand, that loyalty has cost him, personally and professionally. The fight with Isaac wasn't just physical, it was symbolic of a deeper fracture in the family, a fracture Micah couldn't ignore. When you're the sibling who left, the one who forged a path outside the shadow of Kim and Barry's control, how do you come back into the family without getting sucked into the same chaos? That's the question Micah faces now. The injury sidelining his modeling only amplified the tension. For a career built on image, one wrong move, or in this case, one violent moment, can set you back months, if not years. The cameras showed Micah grappling with that reality, and viewers felt the sting of it. This wasn't just about a bruise or a sprain, it was about momentum lost, opportunities slipping away, and the fear that the doors he worked so hard to open might start to close. What makes Micah's story so compelling this season is the contradiction. He has always been framed as the free one, the sibling who escaped, Ed the farm, the sibling who made it in the big city. Yet, here he is, pulled right back into the messiness of family conflict, paying the price for ties he can't fully cut. For fans, it's both heartbreaking and eye-opening. The glamorous Instagram posts, the modeling gigs, the polished exterior, all of it collides with the raw truth that Micah is still a Plath, still bound to the same cycle of love, loyalty, and pain that has defined this family from the beginning. Season 7 exposes Micah in a way we haven't seen before. Stripped of the perfect image, the career momentum, and the romantic stability, what's left is a young man caught between two worlds. One that promises him independence and freedom, and another that constantly pulls him back into chaos. And as viewers, we're left wondering, will Micah finally choose himself, or will loyalty to his family continue to cost him everything he's worked for? Mariah Plath has always been the quiet observer in a family that thrives on drama. While her siblings often dominated storylines with bold moves, explosive fights, or shocking romances, Mariah's journey has been more internal, more personal, but no less compelling. Season 7 brought her story to the forefront, not because of conflict with others, but because of a battle she has faced quietly for years. Her struggle with alopecia, an autoimmune condition that causes hair loss. For many viewers, this was a revelation. Mariah had never shied away from being authentic, but seeing her vulnerability highlighted on camera gave her story a resonance that was both deeply human and emotionally raw. Alopecia is more than a cosmetic concern. It can shake confidence, affect mental health, and change the way you interact with the world. Mariah's openness about her condition, her fears, and her coping methods drew fans closer, who felt not only empathy, but admiration for the way she carried herself. He didn't allow alopecia to define her, but she didn't hide from it either. That balance between honesty and resilience became one of the most emotionally powerful storylines of the season. What makes Mariah's arc so compelling this season is how it intersects with her independence. For years, she was often pulled into her family's conflicts, Micah's feuds, Ethan's heartbreak, Lydia's whirlwind life decisions. But Season 7 shifted the lens to focus on her own personal growth. The alopecia battle became a metaphor for her journey, shedding old expectations, confronting vulnerability, and stepping into her own identity outside the weight of family drama. Where once she may have felt defined by the Plath name, the cameras now capture a young woman asserting herself on her own terms, quietly, but firmly. Fans responded instantly to this shift. Social media filled with praise, admiration, and personal stories from viewers who also deal with autoimmune conditions or other personal challenges. Mariah's honesty sparked conversations about self-love, acceptance, and strength in adversity. She became not just a reality star, but a source of inspiration. For those watching, her storyline feels intimate, like a friend sharing a deeply personal chapter of her life, rather than a manufactured TV plotline. What's striking about Mariah is her quiet strength. She doesn't need to shout to be heard. Her resilience is evident in every small, deliberate choice she makes. Whether it's stepping out in public without a wig, speaking candidly about her fears, or simply smiling in the face of uncertainty, she demonstrates that courage can be understated yet profoundly impactful. Season 7 uses these moments to show growth, not in grand gestures, but in consistent, grounded, personal victories. And yet, Mariah's independence isn't just about alopecia. It's about reclaiming agency over her life. Or the first time in the series, she isn't defined by who she dates, who she fights with, or even who she is related to. Instead, the narrative positions her as a young woman learning to prioritize herself, her health, and her emotional well-being. The cameras capture her working on personal projects, spending time with friends outside the family orbit, and making decisions that are fully her own. It's subtle, but it's revolutionary in the context of a family that has often demanded conformity and placed expectations above personal growth. What resonates most with viewers is the emotional connection they feel with Mariah. Unlike some of her siblings, whose drama often sparks gossip or outrage, Mariah inspires empathy and reflection. Her struggles feel relatable, her victories feel personal, and her presence reminds audiences that strength isn't always loud. It can be quiet, determined, and consistent. By the end of Act 5, Mariah emerges as one of the most grounded, relatable, and inspiring figures in the Plath family. Season 7 doesn't just document her health struggles, it celebrates her journey towards self-reliance, independence, and emotional authenticity. Her story is a reminder that in the midst of family chaos, true growth often happens quietly, and that resilience, when paired with vulnerability, can create some of the most memorable and moving moments on reality TV. Lydia Plath's storyline in Season 7 is a perfect example of how love, loss, and faith collide in the Plath family. Her wedding to Zach Wise was nothing short of a whirlwind, and for fans who followed this family for years, it was both exciting and a little shocking. The relationship moved at lightning speed, from the first moments they met, to a proposal just 3 months later, and finally to a blue-themed wedding surrounded by 115 guests in February. The sheer pace of it all caught viewers off guard, but Lydia's joy and commitment were undeniable. Watching her walk down the aisle, glowing and full of emotion, you could see she was stepping into a new chapter with total openness and excitement. Family reactions were mixed, but Barry's support stood out. Despite the history of tension and strict expectations, he gave his blessing, acknowledging that quick decisions in love weren't unusual in the family. His perspective was informed by his own past. His fast engagement to Kim had set a precedent, and perhaps he saw the parallels in Lydia's story. Still, the wedding wasn't just about celebration. It also brought underlying family dynamics into sharp focus, forcing everyone to navigate their reactions to Lydia's choices while maintaining appearances for the cameras. But what made Lydia's story particularly poignant this season was her willingness to confront the family's painful past. During interviews and on-screen discussions, she opened up about the 2008 accident that claimed her toddler brother Joshua, a loss that had left a deep, unspoken scar. For years, the family carried this grief in silence, rarely acknowledging it openly. Lydia's decision to speak candidly about it, even just in a podcast interview, revealed a maturity and emotional depth that went far beyond wedding festivities. She reflected on the complexity of processing trauma while growing up in a household where faith, rules, and appearances often took precedence over expressing grief. This confrontation with the past also showed how Lydia is balancing her faith with her new life. She's still deeply connected to her beliefs, yet she's carving out space to make her own choices. Marriage for her is not just a continuation of family tradition. It's a conscious step toward creating her own story, one where she can honor her faith while asserting her independence. Her openness about pain and healing adds layers to her character, allowing viewers to see her not only as a bride, but as someone grappling with the complexity of love, loss, and identity. Season 7 captures moments of reflection where Lydia contemplates how the family's silence shaped her perspective on love and marriage. By acknowledging past trauma, she models emotional honesty, showing that moving forward doesn't mean forgetting. It means facing pain head-on and making intentional choices in spite of it. That balance between grief and hope, between family loyalty and personal freedom, is what makes her storyline so compelling. For viewers, Lydia's journey is a reminder of how quickly life can change and how love can act as both a sanctuary and a catalyst for growth. Her whirlwind romance, tempered by the awareness of her family's past struggles, demonstrates the resilience it takes to navigate relationships while honoring one's history. In many ways, she is becoming a bridge between old and new, showing that it's possible to carry faith, memory, and love all at once. The season also teases what comes next for Lydia, hinting at plans for a mission trip to Germany and other ways she hopes to expand her life beyond the immediate family sphere. These glimpses suggest a young woman who is stepping boldly into adulthood, unafraid to confront both the light and the shadows of her past. Season 7 doesn't just show her wedding, it shows her transformation, her courage, and the wisdom she's gaining from embracing both joy and pain. By the end of this arc, Lydia emerges as one of the most relatable and inspiring figures in the Plath family. She proves that love doesn't need to wait for perfection, that grief can coexist with hope, and that faith can guide without restricting personal choice. For fans of the show, her journey is not only emotional, but deeply human. A story of finding balance, speaking truth, and building a life that honors both past and present. Olivia Plath's story in Season 7 is a quiet but powerful example of reclaiming agency in the midst of a family whose narrative has often been dictated by cameras, expectations, and tradition. For years, Olivia's life, her marriage, her personal choices, her heartbreak, was filtered through the lens of the Plath family and the show's storytelling. Viewers witnessed her divorce from Ethan, the strain of being caught between loyalty to her family and forging her own path, and the emotional toll of living in a household where every move could be scrutinized. Season 7, however, shifts that perspective, highlighting Olivia's conscious effort to step out of the imposed narrative and define herself on her own terms. A big part of this transformation comes through her public statements and social media presence. Olivia has been deliberate about addressing misinformation, setting boundaries, and pushing back against any portrayal she feels misrepresents her. Fans saw her speak openly about her experiences, correcting assumptions and reclaiming moments that were previously shaped by the show or by family dynamics. Each post, statement, or interview serves as a declaration. She is no longer a passive participant in the story of her life. The contrast between Olivia's past struggles and her current independence is striking. There was a time when she seemed defined by her marriage, her role in the family, and the expectations placed upon her. She often endured emotional turbulence quietly, sometimes at the expense of her own happiness, as she navigated the complexities of the Plath family's public life. Now, Season 7 shows a different Olivia, someone who recognizes her worth, asserts her boundaries, and embraces the freedom that comes from controlling her own image. This journey is deeply connected to the larger theme of breaking away from control. Olivia's narrative is not only about her own liberation, but also about the larger struggle for autonomy that runs through the Plath family this season. Just as Lydia and Mariah step into independence and Ethan navigates life after heartbreak, Olivia's story reflects the growing realization among the siblings that self-determinate iron is essential to emotional survival. By stepping out of the family-defined narrative, she challenges old patterns of control, demonstrates resilience, and sets an example for others who may feel constrained by external expectations. Fans resonate with Olivia's evolution because it's both relatable and inspiring. Her journey highlights the courage it takes to speak truth, maintain dignity, and build a life that reflects one's own values rather than those imposed by others. In a family where every choice has historically been magnified, Olivia's reclamation of her story feels revolutionary. It's not loud or dramatic. It's deliberate, intentional, and deeply human. Season 7 ultimately positions Olivia as a figure of empowerment. Her actions remind viewers that stepping away from control doesn't mean severing ties or rejecting family. It means honoring oneself and embracing the power to shape one's own life. In doing so, she adds a nuanced layer to the season's overarching theme. In a household defined by rigid expectations, personal growth and self-determination are the most profound forms of rebellion. Isaac Plath's presence in Season 7 is a perfect example of how conflict and rumors can suddenly shift the spotlight in a family already navigating so much drama. His involvement in the explosive wedding fight between Micah and himself sent shockwaves through viewers and cast alike. The incident revealed a tension that had been simmering beneath the surface for years, and the cameras captured it in all its raw intensity. Isaac's role in the altercation wasn't just about a single heated moment. It reflected the complicated dynamics of loyalty, pride, and sibling rivalry that have always been central to the Plath household. Following the fight, attention on Isaac intensified, and with that attention came a wave of rumors and speculation. Social media buzzed with theories about his relationships, choices, and the alleged tensions he's had with other family members. While some rumors were exaggerated, they nonetheless highlighted how quickly Isaac became a focal point in the family's narrative. Season 7 frames him as a young man navigating the complexities of emerging adulthood while living in a household that has historically magnified every misstep and conflict. The scrutiny he faces is amplified not only by the cameras, but by the legacy of past sibling drama, forcing him to reconcile his public image with his private self. While Isaac grapples with controversy, the younger sisters, Amber, Cassia, and Mercy, quietly grow up in the background, showing subtle yet significant development. These siblings often go unnoticed in the whirlwind of family events, but Season 7 gives glimpses of their personalities and emerging independence. Amber, the thoughtful and introspective one, begins to carve out her own space. Cassia displays determination and curiosity about life beyond the family's structured environment, and Mercy, in particular, exhibits a subtle rebellious streak that mirrors Mariah's journey in previous seasons. These small acts of self-expression hint at future storylines where the younger siblings may step into the spotlight, navigating their own paths while negotiating family expectations and public scrutiny. Mercy's quiet defiance stands out, reflecting a generational echo of resilience and individuality. She experiments with personal choices, fashion, and social circles in ways that signal her readiness to explore life on her own terms. Her subtle rebellion is not dramatic, but deliberate, demonstrating how even the youngest Plaths are beginning to question control, expectations, and the family narrative. It's a small but meaningful nod to the season's overarching theme. The younger generation is growing, learning from past conflicts, and quietly preparing to step into their own stories. Together, Isaac's controversies and the younger siblings' quiet growth illustrate the dual nature of Season 7. Conflict and evolution is side by side. As the cameras capture disputes, rumors, and tension, they also reveal moments of introspection, self-discovery, and emerging independence. Isaac's experience underscores challenges of dealing with scrutiny and family conflict, while Amber, Cassia, and Mercy's arcs provide hope and anticipation for what's next. By the end of this act, viewers are left with a clear sense of transition. Season 7 is not just about explosive fights or dramatic moments, it's about the shifting focus within the Plath family, as the older generation navigates conflict and accountability, while the younger generation quietly prepares to take the reins. The narrative positions Isaac and his younger sisters as key players in the family's evolving story, setting the stage for future seasons where their growth, choices, and potential conflicts will undoubtedly command attention, continuing the cycle of drama, resilience, and transformation that defines the Plaths. Season 7 of Welcome to Plathville marks a turning point like no other. What began as a quiet, faith-centered family story has transformed into a season filled with chaos, confrontation, and moments of profound independence. From Kim and Barry's life-altering separation to Ethan finding love again, from Micah's explosive conflicts to Moriah and Olivia stepping into self-determination, and from Lydia's whirlwind marriage to Isaac and the younger siblings quietly growing into their own, every corner of this family has been tested, exposed, and changed forever. The Plaths we knew are no longer the Plaths we see today. Season 7 strips away the illusion of harmony and shows us the raw reality of fractured relationships, personal growth, and the pursuit of independence. Faith, tradition, and family expectations collide with individuality, heartbreak, and empowerment, creating a narrative that is as emotional as it is unforgettable. Viewers are left witnessing a family in transition, each member navigating a path that is uniquely their own, while the bonds that once defined them are being rewritten in real time. As the season closes, one thing is clear: nothing will ever be the same again for the Plaths. The rules have changed, the cameras have captured the truth, and the next chapter promises even more transformation. If you loved this deep dive into Season 7, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Sister Wives Daily, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Which moment shocked you the most? Who do you think will thrive in this new era? I read every single comment, and I can't wait to hear your reactions as the Plaths continue their journey.